Stories about monsters often begin with a warning. Beware the creature in the dark. Beware the thing with claws and teeth. But sometimes, the real story is different. Sometimes, monsters aren't born in caves or forests. Sometimes they're born in classrooms, in playgrounds, in homes where kindness is rare and cruelty is common. And sometimes the scariest question isn't what kind of monster is he, it's who made him that way. Tonight's story is about a boy who was called a monster long before he ever became one. This is the monster they made. In a quiet town surrounded by gray forests lived a boy named Elias. Elias was thin, quiet, and always alone, not because he wanted to be, but because the world had decided early on that he didn't belong in it. At school, whispers followed him down the hallway. Freak, creep. Don't sit near him. Children have a talent for cruelty they don't yet understand. One afternoon on the playground, a group of boys cornered him behind the equipment shed. "Why do you look at people like that?" one of them sneered. "I'm not," Elias started. A shove cut him off. "You're weird." Another push. "Say something creepy again." Laughter. Elias didn't fight back. He just stood there, silent, because this wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. If school was a battlefield, home was a wasteland. Elias lived with his father. His mother had left years earlier. No one explained why. His father believed kindness made people weak. "You want respect?" he'd say, slamming a bottle on the table. "Then take it." But Elias didn't want respect. He wanted something much simpler. He wanted someone to look at him without anger, without disgust, without fear, but that never happened. One winter evening, the bullying got worse. 4 boys followed Elias after school. Snow fell thick and quiet. "Run," one of them said, laughing. They chased him through the woods, pushed him into the snow. One of them held his head down. Cold snow filled his mouth, his lungs burned, and for the first time in his life, Elias felt something new. Not sadness, not fear, rage, hot, sharp, alive. Something in him whispered, "They think you're weak. Show them they're wrong." He didn't act on it that day, but the thought stayed. And thoughts like that grow. Years passed. The quiet boy became a quiet young man. But the cruelty never stopped. Teachers ignored him. Neighbors avoided him. People crossed the street when they saw him walking. Rumors spread. "He's dangerous. I heard he hurt someone. Something's wrong with that kid." None of it was true, but people treated him like a monster anyway. And when the world insists you're something long enough, you start wondering if maybe they're right. One night, Elias walked home from work. The streetlights flickered. A group of drunk men outside a bar noticed him. "Well, look who it is," one said. "The town psycho." Another man shoved him. "Say something creepy." Elias looked up slowly. Something behind his eyes had changed. The rage that had been growing for years was now a storm, and for the first time, he didn't walk away. The fight was quick. When it was over, the men lay groaning on the pavement. Elias stood over them, breathing hard. A strange feeling filled his chest. Not guilt. Power. For the first time in his life, no one laughed at him. After that night, something inside Elias shifted. The whispers about him grew louder, but now they were mixed with fear. People avoided him completely. Doors closed when he walked past. Children were told, "Stay away from that man," and Elias, he stopped trying to prove them wrong. If the town wanted a monster, he would give them one. Fights became common. People who mocked him disappeared from his path quickly. He became the shadow people warned about, the story parents told their kids at night. Be good, or Elias will get you. And slowly, the boy who once wanted kindness became exactly what everyone expected. One rainy afternoon, Elias sat alone at a bus stop. A young woman approached. She sat beside him, didn't move away, didn't stare, didn't whisper. After a moment, she said simply, "Rough weather today." Elias blinked. No one talked to him like that. He waited for the insult. It didn't come. She held out her hand. "I'm Mara." Elias stared at it like it was a trap. Then slowly, he shook it. "I know who you are," she said calmly. "You do?" "Yeah," Elias tensed. "People say a lot of things about you." He waited for the usual, but Mara just shrugged. "I don't believe most of them." Over the next weeks, Mara kept appearing. At the cafe, at the bus stop, at the park. She talked to him like he was just a person, and that confused him more than anything. One night she asked quietly, "Why do you look so angry all the time?" Elias laughed bitterly. You really want to know? Yes, so he told her, about the bullying. His father, the snow, the years of cruelty. When he finished, Mara didn't look scared. She looked sad. That's awful, she said softly. Then she added something Elias had never heard before. It shouldn't have happened to you. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. Two voices argued in his mind. One whispered, "They deserve everything you've done. They made you this way." The other voice sounded different. It sounded like Mara. "You're not what they made you. You still get to choose." For the first time in years, Elias wasn't sure which voice would win. Days later, Elias encountered one of the men who had bullied him as a child. The man was drunk, alone, easy prey. The rage returned instantly. His fists clenched. The old voice screamed, "Now, make him pay." The man stumbled, terrified. "Stay away from me." Elias stepped closer. The man expected violence. Everyone always did. Elias raised his hand, then stopped. He remembered the snow, the playground, the years of pain, and Mara's voice. You still get to choose." Slowly, Elias lowered his hand and walked away. The man stared after him in disbelief. The town still whispers about Elias. Some still call him a monster, but they're not sure anymore. Because the strange thing about monsters is that real ones don't struggle with mercy. Elias still carries his anger, still remembers every cruel moment. But he also remembers something else. One small act of kindness. And sometimes, that's enough to stop a monster from being born. So if you ever hear a story about a monster in the dark, ask one more question. Not what the monster is, but who made it that way, and whether someone, somewhere, was brave enough to show it kindness before it was too late.